Welcome to part two of, I believe I named it Guitar Tech versus DIY Guitar Kit or something like that. We're going to be going ahead and sanding everything that I want to sand and starting to do the finish work on the body. So what I want to do is clean up some of the guitar a little bit. That piece that I was mentioning in the other video here, I've gone ahead and just chiseled out. I will probably lightly sand the neck pocket just a little bit smoother and then smooth out the body, and then we'll be using a Danish oil on the guitar. Now, on this style of kit and with the finish I'm using, I could get the oil into the neck pocket. It probably wouldn't be a big deal, but I do want to show you guys how to prep that. I'm not going to do a whole lot of sanding in here. I just want to get the neck pocket cleaned up because that needs to be taped. Then the rest of the sanding will take place outside. And I'll clean up this neck pocket a little bit. I don't want to do a lot. I just want enough to kind of smooth it out a little bit. That feels pretty good. So I'm going to take that next step up, which is 150. You want to be kind of careful doing the neck pocket with aggressive grits of sandpaper because you want to keep it flat, or whatever angle they CNC'd it at is probably going to be ideal. And you don't want any problems with the neck fit. Take it to 180. Once you're past about 200, it's not going to be taking off a lot of material. It's just going to be smoothing things out. All right, that is immediately a lot smoother. I am going to, like I said, take it up to 2. Let's do 240 because that's what I have. That's what came in the assortment, I guess. Okay, that feels pretty good. Now I can take the same assortment from 120 onward in the other cavities. I don't need it perfect. I just want it less rough. Because if I want to do any like shielding tape or anything like that, which I'm not sure I'm going to do yet, it'll just make life a whole lot easier. Okay, that all feels pretty good now. So I'm going to take care of these holes on top. I think the 220 is a good, 240 is a good place to start with that. All right, so we're back with some paper towels. And I just want to get the sawdust out of there as best as I can. I blew it in my face for some stupid reason. I am at my desk, so like I said, I don't want to do a lot of sanding in here. The inside's not as good as the neck pocket, but it doesn't need to be. Easy enough. Okay, so the neck also needed some love, but it was really just up here. And honestly, I don't want to go as aggressive. So not 240, not 320, probably like 400-ish. Thinking 800. That should be fine. Okay, so I'm going to take this 800. I'm going to get the super glue residue off. Barely taking off any material here on the 800 grit. It's just trying to clean up the neck a little bit, or the head in this case. Okay, I'm going to do the same all sides of the head. Okay, that should be pretty good. And then the rich light, like I said, it's actually not as bad on this one as it was on the one they sent over. And it wasn't bad in general. It just, it's a little bit rougher on, I said rich light, whatever, HPL, whatever it is. So I just want to kind of polish it a little, I guess. And it feels pretty good. I'm just going to go ahead and continue that. You guys probably don't need to watch this repetitiveness, so we'll be back in just a moment. Okay, so I went ahead and sanded up to 3000 grit, which is the highest that the sandpaper assortment has. And now I'm just oiling the fretboard. Oiling it is not really hydrating it or anything, as far as I know, with the man-made materials. Really what it's going to do is just kind of clean off the dust, which is fine, but it is incredibly smooth now, which is what I wanted. I didn't want that rough texture. I don't know anybody that wants a super rough texture on their fretboard. As far as the neck goes, I need to do a little bit more sanding here, which is not going to be all that difficult. I'm just going to clean up these edges, which are pretty rough. I think I'm just going to end up sanding this like 3000, like I did the fretboard, and leave everything else the same because the neck carve is pretty good. It's already pretty smooth, so I probably only need to start around maybe an 800 and step up like 800, 1500, etc. Again, I'm going to be finishing the neck going from 800, 1000, 15, 25, and then 3. So that's what we're going to be looking at on the neck. I'm going to do the head, sides, and everything like that. And that should bring it up to a really nice finish. So I'll be right back with you. I'm just going to be stepping up through each of these and wiping it down in between. Okay, so I've taken the neck up to whatever it was, 3000 grit through all those stages that I mentioned. I think maybe 10 minutes, honestly. The neck feels really good and smooth. I'm not feeling any rough spots in the heel, on the edges. Since I polished up the fretboard when I was doing the neck, I also hit the fretboard on the side. So if we look here, a little bit of a shine. Not a lot, just enough. Oh, let's get you back on camera. There we go. Just enough, right? It's nice and smooth. It feels finished. So next up, we're going to prepare the body for sanding. Let's get the body up here. And the only thing I really want to do to prepare the body is tape off this neck pocket. So again, just regular blue painter's tape. All right, so here is the finished result. Again, I'm not trying to do it perfectly. I just want enough that it's not going to cause any issues. I'm going to take the body outside and I'm going to sand it with a palm sander at the finest grit I have, which I believe is 220 or 240, something around there, maybe 300 something. But I just want to get it as smooth as possible. Once it's smooth, we're going to do a coat of the Danish oil. So I'm just going to wipe it on. I'm going to try and leave the guitar propped up by the cavity so that the oil can kind of sit in without me having to hang it or anything like that. And we're going to do a couple coats of the finish. Okay, so what you just saw is yesterday. So all I did was I did like 3 or 4 light coats of Danish oil on the top without any sanding, just with a little bit of time in between, maybe like 5-10 minutes. And then I let it sit for about 4 or 5 hours. I sanded down to 220 again, and then I did 2 thicker coats of the Danish oil on the guitar body, which is what we see now. So it's overall in pretty good condition. There are some light scratches and stuff from the sanding, which I plan to be able to take out with, I'm going to take it from 1,000 to 3,000 grit. So I believe that's going to be 1,000, 1,500, and then 3,000. I'm going to pop outside with a mask, sunglasses on again, and we are going to finish up the body the rest of the way. Okay, so now I've sanded the body up to 3,000, and I wanted to experiment a little bit with how I would finish this. Finishing is not my forte, not something that I claim to be good at or even think I'm good at or anything like that. So I'm just doing kind of what I think will work and with bare minimum research, to be honest. But I was thinking I would wax the entire guitar, and I might still do that, but I took it up to 3,000 grit, and I'm getting very little sheen on top. Mahogany just seems to be a bit more porous than maple. So I used micro mesh pads on the back, and as you can probably tell, that's a little bit smoother, and I like the way the back feels. So I think I'm going to do that all over the body, and then I'll make my final decision on whether or not I'm going to wax it as well. Now, as far as the micro mesh goes, I'm just doing regular micro mesh steps all the way through, and then if you want to use the same method, I'll link those in the description. But on the last one, I'm using Music Nomad's guitar detailer to kind of lubricate the 12,000 grit up a little bit more, and that just seems to have given it just a little bit more shine on the back, and that's kind of why I'm thinking maybe I can get away with not waxing. Again, look at the way the light reflects off that versus the top. Okay, so I've hit back, sides, and front all the way up to that 12,000 grit on the micro mesh, and you can probably see it's just a little bit more flat in how the color more uniform in like the way the grain looks. I think waxing would be good. I don't have any wax that I could use on this, so I'm gonna have to run to the store and get some. Okay, so I ran to the store and I picked up just some car wax. If you're gonna do this, I would recommend something more suited for wood usually. I also didn't have an orbital sander or device, polisher, buffer, whatever you want to call it. And I used to do it with this, specifically on that strat right there. I used to polish that up to make sure the finish wouldn't wear down, because it is a Highway 1 and it's supposed to wear down faster, and that kept it as good as it looks right now for 20 years. So I'm going to be using that. It came with some applicator pads. We have 2 microfibers, like an actual like terry cloth. Here's the guitar. Looks nice, doesn't it? And I get some of that shine gleaming off of it. Angle this up a little bit there. Okay, so I'm just going to take one of the microfiber cloths. I'm going to lightly rub the wax And then we'll use the orbital. And the body looks good. Doesn't feel sticky or anything, which is good. We're gonna do the same to the back and the sides. The sides I probably won't use the orbital just because it's a little big to be, especially in those crevices. I'll probably just use an applicator pad. Back now looks pretty nice and shiny. There's a little bit more residue on the back, but we will wipe that off in a few minutes. Now I'm going to do the sides. I actually am going to use the orbital on the sides for part of it, but I'm just going to have to do by hand probably around the actual like heel joint and horns a little bit more. So we'll see how that goes. I'm not going to add any extra. I think there's plenty on the pad right now. So here it is. Nice. Finished. Doesn't smell like a car. But everything is done on the body now. Everything is done on the neck. So it's going to be, removing this tape, which I can do for you guys right now while I talk and finish this up. So that's going to be this part of the video. The next part will be assembling the guitar, which honestly won't even take that long probably because it's such a simple kit, which is nice. So we'll be assembling the guitar in the next video. If you have any questions about this, please let me know. I'm going to link some better, or at least I'm assuming better because I don't really know, better options for finishing the guitar in the description below. So if you want to fully paint it or something, that's not something I'm going to be able to tell you how to do very well. Maybe those links will help you out. But if you have any questions, let me know. Make sure to give the video a thumbs up, subscribe for future content, and I will see you guys next time.